Continental Tire Coach's Corner as we bring back Clay Helton. How are you, Coach?
Doing good, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Little pressure there. You got to continue to have winning record here to keep in with that group. Did you know that already?
There's a standard of excellence that I'm reminded of every day when you're a Trojan.
What do you hear when you go out in the off season?
There's just a reputation here at USC that it's a 125-year tradition of excellence that's been here. And when you go out, you're representing something that's bigger than yourself. And, that's the daily message that we give our players, too. That, it has been since 2002 since you've had a losing record. There are 11 national championships here, and, there's a standard of play that is expected, and that's why we all came here, is to uphold that standard of play. So there's not an obligation necessarily, but an opportunity to continue that tradition.
Curious what you thought of this. Tony Romo said yesterday, once Tom Brady retires, it's Aaron Rodgers' stage, and Rodgers' stage alone. Then after that, Sam Darnold.
I tell you what, I'm proud of where Sammy's at right now. I got to watch some of the preseason games, and the one thing that I've seen, having recruited Sam out of high school, having watched him play college, and now, taking that next step to the NFL, he's never changed. He's never changed his demeanor, how he goes, his process about preparation, who he is. And I think that's what a lot of the greats are. They're not going to change for other people. That one of the reasons you're successful is you believe in yourself, you believe in your process and what you do. And Sam's always been that way. He has a unique poise about him, and he's got a very bright future. Obviously, there are always growing pains when you come into the league, and there's a learning process. But he's one of those that in the long haul will look up hopefully 15 years from now and say, wow, that's a really great quarterback.
In 2016, before you started your first full season as head coach, you were faced with the dilemma at quarterback. You had redshirt junior Max Brown. He was viewed as the favorite to succeed Cody Kessler. And then you had the redshirt freshman Sam Darnold. So you go with Max Brown to start. Looking back on it, it's tough to, in your first season, you're going to roll the dice and you're going to put in a redshirt freshman there in Sam Darnold. But looking back, giving you that hindsight there, did you make a mistake?
No, I don't think so. I've always said that I don't regret what we did because I made a full-speed decision, had a redshirt junior that had played in games, had experience, and we had a pretty good team that we were playing that first game named Alabama with Coach Saban. And, to put Sam in that arena right off the bat, I didn't think was the right time for him. I wanted to be able to make sure he got playing time.
So he wasn't ready?
No, he was in a position. He was in a position that he had a great camp, but you never know until you walk in and actually play a game, and he had not yet. Where the other young man, Max, had and had done well and had played really well in camp. And so you make a full-speed decision on what you thought was best in the moment for your team. And in that moment, in my whole heart, was Max Brown. And wish we would have won 3 games straight, but we didn't. We were 1-2, and the ball wasn't moving very well. And Sam had played in the first 3 games. You could see that he didn't get big-eyed. The stage wasn't too big. That he played just like he had practiced, and in that time you go, okay, it's time to make a move here.
How often do you hear from parents about playing time for their kids?
Very often. Very often.
How do they get a hold of you?
Well, one of the things that I've always believed when you're dealing with 18 to 21-year-olds is so important to keep relationships not only with the players but also with the parents. I've always said I've got 3 children by birth and I've got 110 sons I got the honor to adopt. And when a family basically entrust you with their son, you just don't stop that relationship. You communicate with him and say, hey, this is where he's at. These are his strengths. These are his areas of growth. I don't like to use weakness, but these are his areas of growth. And, we're going to continue to develop him. And when he's the best player, he'll step on the field. That's the beauty of college football. There's no politics because if you don't win, they find new coaches in a hurry at this level. So, but you communicate that with them. I think that's one of the biggest things you have to do. as a coach is communicate with your players, let them know where they stand, and if the parents have questions, that you take the time and the consideration to be able to have a conversation with them.
He's Clay Helton, USC head coach. UNLV is the first team on their schedule. Joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Given your coaching logic of why you didn't start Sam Darnold, that you were going into a big game, neutral site with Alabama, JT Daniels is a true freshman, but you're going to roll the dice on him. If you were facing Alabama or Clemson or Auburn or someone, it's a top 5 team, would JT Daniels be starting this first game?
Different situation here, Dan, totally, because in this situation I had 3 young men that had no playing experience. Matt was the only one, and extremely limited, I think, in games. And, so when we walked into this competition, as a staff, we said, okay, we need to go with the guy that is performing the best, especially in scrimmage situations, live ball situations. How is the ball being moved? How is it who's putting it in the end zone? And in this situation, really felt that when we walked out of camp, JT was doing that the best. We did not have a redshirt junior. We didn't have a guy that had played in a lot of games. Mm-hmm. We had 3 young men that it would be basically their first time to lead a football team. So in that situation, we said, okay, we've got to go with who is producing the best in camp, and JT was ahead of the other 2.
What's he do better at this stage than Sam Darnold?
Wow. But I would say both had a unique sense of being able to pull the trigger. Usually with young people when they first come in to college football, there's the guys that want to see things open, or guys that throw the receiver open. They see a window and they pull the trigger to be able to put the ball there on time. And JT and Sam both have that at a very, very young age. I have been really impressed with JT's deep ball accuracy in the moment. We go walk in the Coliseum for the first time, and he acts like he's been there 100 times. And that poise that he had to be able to make big plays down the field at such an early age when he's competing to be the starting quarterback at USC in the Coliseum was extremely impressive for that age. But both kids at a very young age could pull the trigger, and that's what stands out to me.
As a father, we learn the hard way about having patience, but you have all of these kids, and you have to have patience, and then you have 18-year-olds that, you're pinning your coaching future on. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it that they're so young and they get in these big moments, and there's only so much you can do as a coach, father figure here. How many times do you have to be reminded to have patience?
Very often. That's why I don't get a lot of sleep at night. I've lost all of the hair on my head. But I've had the good fortune of playing the position and coaching the position, and I know that a large part of it is when you make a decision, support that decision, and give that young man the opportunity to show himself, improve himself, and know that when you're 18 years old, there's going to be mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, that you're going to hit bumps in the road. And I think it's really important when you're playing a young quarterback that you tell the rest of the team, hey, guys, we have to be ultra supportive of this guy. We have to play great defense. We have to play great special teams. The best friend of a quarterback is a running game. We have to be able to establish the run. We have to play great team football. And then realize he's going to make mistakes, correct those mistakes. Good thing with JT is usually when he makes a mistake and you teach him, he has not made it again. And that's what you hope from your quarterback.
Do your players ever ask you how good you were as a player?
They talk about it. I was not very good. I'm a lot better coach than I am a player. But no, they know I played quarterback, played for Dad. Dad comes around each camp and hangs out with us, and they know. Matter of fact, I think they had some clips of me playing in the Coliseum when I was with Dad my last year in college and getting my butt knocked off by the Trojans.
That damn Google, it can always come back and haunt you, Coach.
Yeah, no question. They were like, Coach, we thought you were a lot better.
Do as I say, not as I did.
Exactly right.
Hey, good to visit with you. We'll check in during the season and have fun against UNLV. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
That's Clay Helton, USC football coach.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.